Warning. Warning. You are about to enter the propaganda report with Brad Binkley. Warning.
Ex-FBI Director James Comey launched his career by accusing an innocent man of being a serial rapist known as the Ramsey Rapist. This is the Propaganda Report. I am Brad Binkley. You have entered the Propaganda Report. Warning. And yes, that is true. I'm not even being sensational. Former FBI Director James Comey found himself, according to him, on the path to becoming FBI Director only after accusing an innocent father, husband, and by all accounts, fantastic guy of being the serial rapist known as the Ramsey Rapist. Which led to this innocent man being arrested, branded by the sheriff publicly in the news as being the Ramsey Rapist that had been elusive to this sheriff or deputy, and having this man and his family, his children, his wife, their lives destroyed for 2 years. Imagine having to go to school when your father has been branded the Ramsey Rapist, who has been terrorizing babysitters, raping them, robbing households, raping anybody he can around your town for whoever knows how long. You got to go to school with a sheriff saying that your dad is definitely that, despite there haven't even been an indictment yet. All because of James Comey. A young James Comey. A grand jury ultimately did not indict this man. Bruce Adair Sr. is his name. Because there was zero evidence that he was the thing that this deputy, who was seeking to become sheriff at the time in an upcoming election, and he was running on the campaign of, I stopped the Ramsey Rapist, you're safe now. So he needed someone to pin it on during the campaign, and without any evidence to do so, he had a trump card in his pocket by the name of James Comey. Have you heard this story? Have any of you heard this story? Some of you probably have if you listened to this show for a while. Good morning, Stoner. I did a show on this in 2018. We talked about it on WSB multiple times back when Comey was in the news, and that's why I'm bringing it back today. For those who've listened to the show for years, you know I've done a lot of stuff on James Comey. The guy is the sleaziest liar, old shucks liar you've ever seen in your life. And he's in the news today because the DOJ is going to try to indict him on perjury charges, apparently, for making false statements during his congressional testimony back on September 30th of 2020 when he was called to testify on his handling of the 2016 election Russian interference meddling investigation that he was the head of. Obviously, he lied during that. That's all James Comey does is lie. That doesn't mean anything's going to happen to him. I'd be willing to bet that there's never been a single person who has testified before Congress that has not lied. So simply because we know someone lied before Congress and committed perjury certainly doesn't mean there's going to be any consequences. Now, they're trying to rush these charges because you have to do it for this crime has to be done within a 5-year period. And since his testimony was on September 30th, 2020, well, they're running out of time. I don't expect anything is going to happen to Comey. But as I said, of course he lied. Nobody has lied with more relentless consistency throughout their career than oh shucks face golly gee James Comey. That guy's a snake. He's the feminist who will jizz on your leg while you're sleeping. That's his energy. More than anything else in this world. Former FBI Director James Comey is a liar. Anybody who remembers his time during Trump's first term and his role as point man for the Russia investigation recalls this. He justified the entire Russia interference investigation on the Russian P dossier from Christopher Steele, the MI5 British spy who got it from the other MI5 British spy, Sir Anthony Wood, whose job at the Chatham House was to demonize and destroy Russia, which he did through this fake dossier and created the whole. It was a British operation. And Comey was the American head of. And its primary contents were that Trump hired hookers to pee on a bed in a hotel room because he found out Obama once slept on the bed and he couldn't stand it. Get the hookers to. This is what justified everything Comey did. This is that guy, okay? But 2016 was not his first rodeo when it comes to accusing somebody of something absolutely ridiculous that they obviously didn't do. As I mentioned at the top, James Comey, whose middle name I think is it's Brein, I believe. Is that right? I noticed of course his middle name would be something like that. Brein is his middle name. James Brein Comey. Fold up on yourself with that. Mr. Comey got his first experience that we know of anyway, doing what he did in 2016, blatantly lying about somebody, accusing them of something awful when it's obviously not true, back in 1977. Up in New Jersey, a young, ambitious, clearly without morals, James Brein Comey, who lived with, I guess he lived with his parents at the time. When he got the opportunity to be the only piece of evidence to ruin a man and his family's life, and what he would later say is the most important moment in his life, when he learned to empathize with victims, when he learned how to be an ethical leader, what ethical leadership is, and what marked the moment that set him on the path to becoming FBI director. And that was when he was kidnapped, him and his brother, and they were held hostage at his parents' house by what was known at the time as the Ramsey rapist. I'll let Comey himself tell you what happened, and then I will fill in the pieces of information that he conveniently leaves out. Where are you at, Comey? There it is. This is a 2018 CNN town hall that Comey did with Anderson Cooper because Comey was marketing a book on ethical leadership and teaching a course on ethics at his alma mater. What was the school? William and Mary. after he got fired by Trump, he became just a hero for the left. Here he is recounting this formidable moment when he was kidnapped by the Ramsey rapist. Look at his oh shucks sad face.
I want to ask you about something that happened to you as a kid, which I had never heard before. You write about it in detail in the book. And it seemed to, I think, have an impact on you in terms of getting into law enforcement, or certainly the way you grew up and lived your life. And I'm talking about the Ramsey rapist. And if you could just tell these students what happened when you were, how old?
High school senior.
High school senior.
Yeah. One October night, I was home. Shows you what a geek I was. I was writing on a Friday night a literary magazine piece at 8 o'clock at night.
He was writing a literary piece at 8 o'clock on a Friday. No, he wasn't, okay? No, he was not. He was jizzing on a sleeping girl's leg.
And a serial rapist and robber kicked in the front door to my parents' home, likely looking for my sister, who thank God wasn't home, and ended up taking my brother and me captive, and at one point lying us down on my parents' bed and just pointing the gun at the back of our heads.
He's not a serial murderer. He's a serial rapist. Why is he still there? Why would he be looking for your sister? And if he was staking out your home, wouldn't he know whether or not she was there or not? There's holes in his story. I won't delve too deep into those because there are so many. But what he's saying doesn't make any sense.
And I thought he was going to execute us. And that was an amazing moment and changed me in a lot of ways. And then we ended up talking to him. I ended up talking to him and convincing him to lock us in a bathroom. And I told him, we'll stay there the whole night. And then,
because they must have had those bathrooms that everybody has in their homes that you can lock from the outside. I know those exist. Haven't seen one in 20 years. This was a long time ago. It's just a weird thing. Usually they lock from the inside.
And after the search of the house was over, he locked us in the bathroom. And then he went out. And we escaped out the bathroom window. And he caught us again.
He was still there?
Yeah, he had come around to the outside of the bathroom window to check on it, to look in. And I was just having the adrenaline.
You see how he's closing his eyes and like he's visualizing that? And this is important here because he's really describing in detail what he remembers, which is going to be important when we talk about how he falsely accused an innocent man, because he seems to remember it very vividly right now. I don't know how he could have gotten it so wrong so many years ago.
Wear off. I was actually sitting on the floor in the bathroom, and I looked up to the window, and there was his face in the bathroom window, and it took my breath away. And I said to my brother, Peter, my younger brother, we're staying here all night. We're staying here all night. And a few seconds later, he said, you know who that is. We got to go get help. And so my younger brother opened the window, and there was plastic on it, tore it out, and went out. And I followed him out barefoot out into the yard, and the gun.
Why would there be plastic on the window?
Had gone next door and came back and followed him out barefoot out into the yard. And the gunman had gone next door and came back and captured us. And he was livid at me and started saying that he was going to kill me again. And I thought again I was going to get executed. And then a chaotic scene ensued where a neighbor intervened and a neighbor's dog. And we escaped again and locked ourselves in the house and got butchered.
So he thought he was going to be killed. The guy was livid at him because they were in the bathroom locked from the outside, and they were trying to escape their captor by escaping the house to run away. Now they're trying to escape their captor by going back into the house that they were previously just trying to escape, until a neighbor and a dog caused some sort of chaos in which they did that. And why didn't you grab the knife the first time when he was at the neighbor's and you were locked in the bathroom, I guess? Maybe get the knife then.
Knives, and Ultimately, he fled into the woods as the police arrived.
He fled into the woods.
We survived that night, and I wasn't hurt. But I thought about the Ramsey rapist every night before I went to bed for 5 years.
Every night he thought about the Ramsey rapist for 5 years. Remember that.
I don't mean most nights, I mean every night. And I slept with a weapon, a knife or a bat or something next to me for many, many years. And what it created for me, Anderson, as a prosecutor investigator, was a tremendous sense of empathy. I wasn't hurt. Think about the people beaten, raped, assaulted, shot. What have they experienced and what are their lives like? And so it changed me in a lot of ways. I write in the book, I still thought I wanted to be a doctor. I came to William & Mary to major in chemistry, but I couldn't see it. I can see it now through the lens of adulthood, that in a way that put me on a path, the path that I'm on to this point. And it was, one of the most important things that ever happened to me. And it's in the book.
It's in the book, which is the whole purpose of this. One of the most important, formidable moments of his life. He remembered the Ramsey rapist for every single night for 5 years. He saw his face in that window outside that bathroom that locks from the outside him and his brother were in. This taught him empathy for victims because of the girls he knew that were raped because of a high school girl that he saw. He would pass by her. I don't know if he said that part yet. It taught him ethical leadership, and it set him on the pathway to becoming the man who he is today. Or was. Director of the FBI and now a professor, author, teaching a course in ethics. That is what he got from this experience he just described. He's leaving out some details. Anderson, in a moment, is going to ask an important question.
The lens of adulthood, that in a way that put me on a path, the path that I'm on to this point. And it was, one of the most important things that ever happened to me. And it's in the book. The book's not a memoir. There's lots of important stuff to me personally that's not in there. But that's in there because it affected how I think as a leader. That I think it's really important to ask questions from the perspective at the end of life, looking back about who you want to be and what you want to do and how you find meaning. And I think an ethical leader's job is to help people find meaning in their work. And given that was a formative experience for me.
And mind you, that experience for him resulted in the ruining of an entire family's life who he wrongly accused of being that Ramsey rapist. Ruined that person's life. Still, his wife, lasting trauma. But him, this is the greatest experience of his life that turned him into the most ethical leader anybody could ever be. Taught him empathy.
It loomed so large, it had to be in the book.
Did they ever catch this person?
No. A guy was arrested. The attacks, which had happened for almost a year.
A guy was arrested. What a piece of trash. A guy.
Regular basis, stopped that night, and they arrested someone and never made the case against him.
Okay, so it stopped that night because this was a huge case at that point in time. They couldn't catch this guy. And they pinned it on this guy only because of Comey. Without Comey, they would have never been able to pin it on this guy. He is the only reason. And it launched his path down, to becoming the FBI director. And all the news came out because the guy who was running to become sheriff, who just wanted somebody to put it on, and Comey was the guy who gave it to him, said, I'll help you out. Because there was literally zero evidence at all. In fact, it was impossible for the person Comey accused to have committed the crime. There's no way the guy was at Comey's house, and there's no way Comey could have actually believed that the guy he accused was the one who stared at him through that window, who he said he had dreams about for 5 straight years and had to sleep with a weapon. There's zero chance that he actually believes that the person he accused was that guy, because it's literally impossible. And nevertheless, all that mattered was to pin this on this guy for a period of time during a campaign that the sheriff could say, I caught the Ramsey rapist. You're safe now. Elect me. And it was all over the news. And he broadcasts this just like you do trial by media. Screw due process. Screw actually trying to solve a crime. Tell everybody. And so if you are the Ramsey rapist and everybody is on your tail trying to capture you, that sure would be a perfect time to go become the Charlottesville rapist or the San Francisco, to go to another state and do your raping there. Or perhaps the police officers knew who it was and were helping them. I don't know. That's speculation. But Comey makes it seem like the guy that he falsely accused and ruined his life, well, yeah, they arrested a guy, and then it stopped. He doesn't mention the fact that they only arrested him because of himself. And he doesn't say the guy's name. What a piece of trash. Because you can't exactly say, this was the most important moment in my life. It taught me ethics, empathy, and how to be a leader, and that's why I'm FBI director. And also, what happened was I accused somebody of being a serial rapist that I knew was innocent and ruined him and his family's life. You can't really say that and square the circle.
But it stopped that night. And there was a girl in my high school who had been tied to a tree and sexually assaulted, and we never spoke. I would pass her in the hallway. I'd seen her at the lineup, and we just sort of nodded at each other and communicated with our eyes for the rest of that last year of my high school. But others were spared that pain.
Okay, so that girl he's talking about that he saw at the lineup, all of the evidence, here's what happened that led to them arresting this guy named Bruce Adair Sr., who was a working class union member, which the question was asked to his wife if there was some sort of attack because they didn't like the union members back then in that part of the country. I don't know. Who operated he's operated big machinery on work sites. He was a bulldozer operator. After this incident with Comey and his brother, and the police showed up, and the guy escaped through the woods, as Comey said. He ran away through the woods because it's kind of a rural area. Comey helped the sketch artist sketch a composite sketch of the Ramsey rapist. At least they assume it's the Ramsey rapist who was there. The person who put a gun to his head, then Comey says I talked him into letting us go and lock us in this bathroom. The lock's from the outside. Then he went next door because I guess he's just going back and forth. It's a real weird story. And then the neighbor came after we crawled back in the house, and the dog came and caused a distraction. Anderson's not really diving into those details of that. But that's after that happened, the cops showed up, the guy flees. And he does the composite sketch. Now, based on the composite sketch, some guy, I don't know who, I haven't found the detail of this person's name, saw this guy, Bruce Adair, on a job site 3 towns away, like 30 miles away or something. Not even close. And said, oh, that looks like the guy that he saw the sketch of on TV. And they then got a picture of this guy. They take a picture of this guy who somebody saw on a campsite or a work site 30 miles away. They took it to James Comey and they said, how about this? And he said, yeah, that's him. And so when they did that, they brought the guy in to do a police lineup. And to do the police lineup, they brought in 2 victims who had been raped by the Ramsey rapist. They brought in the neighbor who Comey said came over with his dog and helped scare the guy away. So who lives across the street, was right there with Comey. They brought in Comey's brother, who had the gun pointed to the back of his head with Comey, according to Comey, and was in that bathroom with Comey, staring the guy in the face through the window. They brought in Comey. And they brought in a number. Those are all the ones in proximity. So that girl that he's talking about at the high school was one of the ones who, tied to a tree, raped, who was brought in to do the pick out. Do you see the guy in this lineup, police lineup? Of all of the people that they brought in, not one of them picked this guy out of the lineup, except for Comey. Not even his brother, who was right next to him, picked the guy out of the lineup. Not even his neighbor picked the guy out of the lineup. Not even the girl that was raped by him, that Comey says he saw in school and nodded to, picked this guy out of the lineup. Only James Comey did. And that was the only piece of evidence that existed to tie this guy to the crimes of the Ramsey rapist. And based on that, James Comey alone, this deputy who had ambitions to become sheriff by winning an election based on catching the Ramsey rapist, went and arrested this guy. And when he arrested him, they found zero evidence in his house. Not one shred of evidence. They took blood samples, they took hair samples, they took saliva samples from him, which he offered up willingly. None of it matched what was found at the crime scene. He had at least three alibis. Three of his friends, his son, his wife, all told the police that he was with them at her job because that was a thing that she worked with kids who had Down syndrome, and they would help her. And so he was always with her, and all of his friends could vouch for that at 9 p.m. on the night that Comey says this guy is the one who was at his house. And then after that, he goes back to his house, and he spent time on the phone the rest of the night talking to other of his friends about a union meeting that was happening the next day. Also, he's overweight and could not possibly have run the way that Comey describes it and the way it's described in the articles about this. He could not have fled on feet into the woods and away from police officers in pursuit and then ran 30 miles back to his home. It's literally impossible. The guy couldn't walk very well. So James Comey made some sort of deal, at least it seems, as a kid with this police officer. And now this family looks back at this and they see, oh my gosh, our lives were ruined for that period of time. And there was trauma for the rest of our lives, likely caused an early death for the father because of being falsely accused and branded as a Ramsey rapist for the period of years. When it was literally one of the police officers put his house up, put a lien on his house for $12,000 and gave it to the accused, Bruce Otter, because he was so certain he was innocent. Everybody in that town who knew him, it was the most ridiculous accusation ever. And everybody knew what was going on. And so they see that experience. What James Comey is describing here is literally the worst thing to ever happen to this family. It just an awful thing that can happen to anybody. And to James Comey, he's like, I learned about ethics and leadership that time I falsely accused a man of being a serial rapist and ruined his life. That's how I learned about empathy for victims, and that's why I became FBI director. I guess it makes sense, actually. You know, I never would have been FBI director had I not falsely accused that man of being a serial rapist, even though I knew he didn't do it. Had I not ruined his life, I might never have gotten to become the ethical leader I am today or gotten my role in the FBI. This was his practice that he then did. It's really a crazy story. It's really crazy. What's up, Harem? 6'8". Now check this out. I'm going to let you hear what the wife said. Now, she's going to reiterate some of the stuff that I said. But he literally ruined this man's life by knowingly, falsely accusing him of serial rape and being the Ramsey rapist. And here he is telling Anderson Cooper that moment is where he learned how to empathize with victims, where he learned ethical leadership, and what put him on the path to becoming the director of the FBI. It's freaking crazy. So yeah, Comey lied when he testified. There's not going to be any consequences. I just like to remind people of the type of person that, oh shucks, James Comey is. He's one of the worst. Here's an article that there were a couple articles about it. Young James Comey and the wrong Ramsey rapist. Yeah, I did a show on this in 2018, like a couple of them. All right, so here is. This is a phone call between a journalist and the wife of the man that Comey wrongly accused of being the Ramsey rapist. And he was exonerated, by the way. The grand jury, after about a year, I think I said this already, but just to be clear, they did not indict or they didn't do any indictment because there was literally no evidence except for Comey. It was impossible. And this kid's going to school every day, and because of this sheriff, guy wants to be sheriff, and the media, his friends are calling, oh, your dad's been raping all of our babysitters. And that's because of James Comey. He caused that. Why is this not working? Here you go.
James Comey and, that whole incident, the terrible incident that happened ages ago when he misidentified someone. And now it's either Peter or him. Was it him or Peter who made the misidentification? Do you know?
It was him.
It was James Comey.
Yeah.
Why'd he do that? What was he trying to make his first bust? To break into law enforcement or something?
Probably.
Last night I just watched the 5 minutes because I had seen the clip that he was going to mention where he came from.
So they're referring to the same clip that I just showed you guys. This interview happened around the same time. And that image on the screen there, that's him, and that's the wife talking to the left, and that's the kid there.
Yeah.
And but once he didn't say, the only thing he said on the interview was that's what made him go for the victims.
Right.
I see.
But actually, my husband was the victim.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Oh, by the way, despite there not being any evidence, this man here, her husband, was held in lieu of a $250,000 bail. No evidence. In 1977, $250,000 bail.
Absolutely. Yeah, we missed it. We were having all-you-can-eat sushi last night, so.
Oh, you didn't miss anything. That's the only part I watched. Because I knew I didn't know how far he was going to go with that.
A couple more parts of this I want to play you. Forgot to mention this. After they arrested Bruce Adair, the first time, the innocent man Comey framed, the head detective, the one who wanted to become sheriff, he went on TV, and this is what he said. He said, everyone can relax. We have the Ramsey rapist. You don't have to be afraid anymore. You can leave your children at home. So this trial by media before due process has been going on for a long, long time. And not often do they capture somebody, more so than we realize probably. But it seems like when they capture somebody that person ultimately does get convicted at trial, but certainly not all the time. And there are a number of examples throughout history, including this guy and the guy with the Atlanta Olympic Park bombing, whose life was ruined. Is it Jewel? I can't remember his full name. But the guy actually saved people and got accused of being the one who bombed it, ruined his life. He died early, and then they realized it wasn't him. Now, he didn't die. They realized it wasn't him before he died, but he still, the stress of it, at least according to him and his family. And so, Richard Jewell, thank you, Michael. I mean, it makes me think about the Charlie Kirk shooter, alleged shooter. We don't know what evidence they have. We know it's been presented to us in a way that it seems like he did it or he did it with other people like him. That's what it seems like based on what they presented, even though everything about it is very, very weird. But the fact is, until you get to trial, all this stuff is circumstantial. Now, they might have more. They've only really shown us what they need to show to get a probable cause subpoena to arrest. And more will come out at trial. I don't know when that'll be. But it's just so easy now with the media, and everybody just wants to jump on one answer or another to convict somebody and ruin someone's life when you really don't know what's true and what's not. And this poor guy, I mean, this was a frame job by an ambitious James Comey working with this. And you know, I have to agree with James Comey in that this is a demonstration of the skill that he utilized when he was head of the FBI: manipulation, false accusation, and deceit of innocent people.
Yeah, they never want to discuss that and say, you know,
oops, I made a mistake.
Yeah, he'll never admit to it.
Nope.
9 other people said it wasn't him after they saw the in the police lineup. And that tracker.
Yeah, so 9 other people in the police lineup said it wasn't him. Comey's the only one.
You know, that guy's a crackpot.
So they hired a tracker to go gather footprint stuff, which none of it is admissible evidence of anything. And it turns out the guy they hired to do it is like a crazy person. It's just like a complete lunatic who actually doesn't have experience tracking anything at all.
Well, he always was. He was at grand jury. They had to get him out of there at grand jury.
Yeah.
I mean, he brought his Indian friend, and he wanted him to go in with him. They wouldn't allow that.
So this is a literal lunatic that they used. And then James Comey, it's just so crazy. This is one of the crazier stories. All of these people have kind of weird origin stories. I don't know. I tell you what, I'd look into that cop and James Comey when it comes to who the perpetrator was. James Comey's a sleazebag jizzing on your sleeping leg.
It's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
He was writing a book. He was trying to make a name for himself.
Yep, that's exactly what was going on.
I mean, what man? And
That's
I don't care how long.
That's exactly. He was James Comey's mentor. That's what Comey's been doing his entire life. He actually, after he was fired, and he did this book that he was promoting with Anderson Cooper on that clip I just showed you, he started writing the same type of books, except he started calling them fiction, and he started promoting those, and then he would tell the same story, and he would have this. Every one of them was like a mob boss that a fearless FBI investigator takes down, and of course the character's based on him, and the mob boss is based on Trump, but he just changed the name of the mob boss and the fearless investigator to fictional names and just wrote the exact same stories that he would write in his non-fiction books where he claimed to be exposing the inner workings of the White House. It's insane. Stacey Abrams does the same shit. Stacey Abrams has an alias that she writes books under called Selena Montgomery. She writes romance spy novels. And she once told Seth Meyers that if she had any other job, that it would be spy. Stacey Abrams in a romance novel. It's just two things I imagine you're eating a Baconator while writing disgusting sexual scenes. I shouldn't imagine that, but that's what pops into my head. And I want it to flee very quickly as though it were running through the woods away from James Comey when he was 17 years old. The Ramsey rapist who James Comey would frame somebody else as being.
Man, because a personal friend of ours who was a tracker said nobody can put their hand in a puddle and tell you what footprint it was.
Especially after the cops stomped through the swamp the night before.
This is crazy.
Right.
They must have, they said we already had him under surveillance. They must have kind of, hinted
well,
to him.
He was working up there. he was running a piece of equipment up there, and
It's a bulldozer.
the people had said he was a burly person. Well, right away it was him.
Right. And the cops don't even...
His brother lived not... Well, he didn't live in the same area, but not far from there. So they thought, it was him, whatever. It was awful.
Yeah,
I'm sure it was awful. Imagine you're a bulldozer operator 30 miles away, just trying to take care of your family, and some asshole 17-year-old and his mentor, dirty police officer who wants to be sheriff and publish his book, decides that you're going to be the scapegoat. Maybe there was something to do with the union angle of it, which you ask about that in a minute. I can't remember what this part is. Stacy meets Shamu, a love story, says Hiram. Yeah, that would be a love story. Stacy just carrying Shamu around all the time like a baby because she dwarfs him in size. Let me take that back a little bit. Yeah, he's right. Yeah, he's talking about Comey. She's talking about Comey right there. He was a yes man with ambition. It's just, what a sleazy guy. People like Comey are the most sleazy. He's a male feminist type. That's why I keep saying the thing about he'll jizz on your daughter's leg while she's sleeping, because that's what those types do. That's what's really crazy to me. His alibi was one of the most airtight you're ever going to see. So he was in a lineup. It was him and a bunch of cops. And not one person picked him out of the lineup except for Comey. Again, even Comey's brother, who was in the bathroom looking through the window at the guy whose face Comey says he saw every night for 5 years, and who Comey pretended to see his face vividly while doing that interview 40 years later with Anderson Cooper. Of course, Comey perjured himself in 2020 on September 30th. All right, one more. We'll close this out. Did I change that yet? Hang on a second.
A lot of books out. And I did an initial piece on him for some reason, and then I came across that whole, the Bruce Adder story.
Yeah, well, it was in the Daily Beast, that article.
Yeah, but they never said it was him. They never said it was James Comey that made the identification in any of these articles.
Wow.
To my knowledge.
See, that's what I was waiting for him to say last night.
So that's why I wanted to play that, because the articles about this, it says it's unclear if it was James Comey that said that falsely accused Bruce Adair. But she clarifies multiple times in this interview that absolutely it was Comey. Comey absolutely is the one who did it. His brother's the one who did not identify.
But he didn't, so I just shut it off.
Yeah, one of them, I think, a British newspaper said it was unclear,
Yeah, that's right.
which brother it was or something of that nature. So that's why I called you.
Yeah, it was him.
Yeah, it was him. He was overzealous, or was he deliberately lying?
Maybe he wanted his picture in the paper.
I think the explanation that seems the simplest and most obvious is, and I think she might touch on this, or she might already have, is what I've been referencing, is that this was an ambitious officer who wanted to win an election and probably recognized, maybe not even much older than Comey at the time, and probably recognized his ambition and his willingness to be without morals and without ethics, everything Comey claims he learned from this situation. And he said, hey, I need something. Say it's this guy. That's probably what happened.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know.
Looked at it as an entree into law enforcement.
Yeah.
Make his first collar.
Yeah.
Yep.
Something like that.
Make his first collar.
You never know. You never know.
No, I don't know.
And it's a strange guy, like it's indicative of some kind of instability.
That's a good observation. James Comey is a very strange guy. There's something wrong with him. It's really crazy to me when you see people like that in such positions of power. I mean, James Comey's the kind of guy that when you see him talk, and I can imagine when you probably encounter him in a personal level, that you say, something's not right about this guy. Don't let yourself be in a room alone with him. That type of thing. Maybe that's why they want people like that there. They want these compromised people. So, that would make sense. But some of these people are just so obviously off. Very few of these people we see in public as public figures seem down to earth. Seem just not a little bit. You got to be a little bit twisted to want to do that, but it's like they're all crazy.
It's the same way with the Hillary.
This is my personal opinion, and that's
He
what
does
I
look
told
like
the
a
Daily
ghoul.
Beast. My personal opinion was he wanted to run for president.
I see. Did they call you recently or a while back, right?
Maybe 9 months ago or whatever.
I see.
As soon as he got fired, that's when I got the phone calls from tons of papers. But I just happened to talk to the one guy from the Daily Beast.
Okay. I appreciate your time, and I'll update it. I'll update my piece on that so people will.
So there you have it. James Comey's in the news. Did he lie? Of course he lied. That whole thing was a lie. Nothing's going to happen to him. But James Comey has been one of the most consistent, sleazy liars since he was 17 years old, and he very seemingly intentionally accused an innocent man who quite literally could not possibly have been the Ramsey rapist, of being the Ramsey rapist in collaboration with his partner, deputy. He wanted to become sheriff by saying he caught the Ramsey rapist. And James Comey, as we heard in the clip, I know I'm reiterating, but it's just extraordinary. At that time, James Comey falsely accused a man of being a serial rapist and ruined his life. Was, according to James Comey, the moment that he learned what it's like to be an ethical leader, what it's like to empathize with victims, and is the time that set him on the pathway to being the director of the FBI. It was the most important, formidable moment of his life that made him the man he is today. Oh, shucks, James Comey. who, by the way, admitted, I don't know if you remember this, that while he was the FBI director for Trump, right after Trump got elected, that his 4 daughters and his wife all went to the first Women's March. And he said well, I can't say for certain, but he's like, wink, wink. They definitely all voted for Hillary. They were really excited about having a first female, which, I mean, that's fine. People vote who they want, but it's not even he was not even hiding it. It's just, I wonder if they wore those big 6-foot-tall vagina outfits that had the teeth in them, and they had the "this pussy grabs back" sign. I would like to see Comey in one of those, like a 6'6" one, "this pussy grabs back." A couple more quick things here. So I watched a little bit of Kimmel's monologue last night, and I noticed this. Let's see what you guys think about this. He seems genuinely pissed at me here. So during his monologue at the beginning of it, he is quoting Trump during one of his setups, and nobody likes being interrupted during the setup of a joke as a comic. I get that, but also, you don't want to snap on the audience. Feels like he snaps a little bit here to me. And this guy, he's saying Trump is talking about how none of his fans are going to be here. And the guy in the audience says, "We're here, Jimmy." So he's giving him encouragement. I don't know if Jimmy handled it the best, because he told him to F off and said that free speech is for him only. Watch.
The White House was told by ABC that his show was canceled. No, they weren't. Something happened between then and now, because his audience is gone and his talent was never there. We're right here, Jim. That I can't argue with. Shut the up. The freedom of speech is only for me. The White House was told...
I don't know about you. That seemed like a little bit of a snap, like a little bit of a scolding, like he was just holding it together. Did it not? And I think that's a little bit of revealing his true inner thoughts there, that free speech is for me. I mean, he seemed a little angry. Let's watch it one more time.
The White House was told by ABC that his show was canceled. No, they weren't. Something happened between then and now, because his audience is gone and his talent was never there. We're right here, Jim. That I can't argue with. Shut the up. The freedom of speech is only for me.
I mean, look at his face. You're right. The mask dropped. I tell you what, man, that's some people who really got mad that I was talking negative about Jimmy yesterday. Some real Jimmy fans came in some of my comments. I was a little surprised that there were people that passionate about it. Is the free speech only for him? That's the question. He clearly believes so. Yeah, I agree. Mask dropped. He cracked. All right. Can't handle the pressure of millions and millions of dollars to not be funny and to repeat scripted talking points. He can't handle it. That's all I want to talk about this morning. What I will do for my own selfish purposes is I'm going to end the show by playing my fake interview that I did with with James Comey back during Trump's first administration. And I'm going to close on that because I like it. All right, guys, check out this about 5-minute videos, fake, silly interview with James Comey from years ago. I'm going to close on that, and we'll talk to you guys next time. Have a fantastic rest of y'all's day.
James Comey.
Thanks for being here today, Mr. Comey. Let's get started.
Do it lightly.
Okay. Why did you decide to write the book?
I was faced.
Really?
Yes.
What were you drunk off of?
Hillary Clinton?
Weren't we all? What's in the book?
Constant series of assertions.
Any of them backed by evidence?
No.
Of course not. Is there anything that you had to leave out of the book?
The facts.
Don't you think that bothers the American people? That they're worried that they're being lied to?
Yeah, I don't think so.
You're probably right. Some of your critics say that you're just trying to cash in.
That's fair criticism.
Others defend you. They say you're a man of integrity.
That's just a lie.
When you gave your memos to a friend, did you leak classified information?
Yeah, how great is that?
I thought that was a bad thing. What's your favorite book?
Steele dossier.
How many times have you read it?
1,000 times.
Wow. How does it make you feel when you read it?
Kind of hard.
Sorry I asked. Let's talk about your book tour. I hear that you have something special planned for the fans that come and see you. What will you be doing for them?
Touching them improperly.
You were recently interviewed by Rachel Maddow. What did you think of Rachel?
He's a good guy.
Yeah. Stephen Colbert also recently interviewed you.
She did.
All right, Mr. Comey, now we're going to do a little bit of word association. I'm going to say a word, and you say the first thing that pops into mind. Stormy Daniels.
I would.
You would what?
Hit that.
Okay. Stop making that sound, please. When you were head of the bureau, what was the FBI's primary objective?
Protect Hillary Clinton.
Why?
I love her desperately.
What do you miss most about the FBI?
People peeing on each other.
What message do you have for the children of America?
Don't you move. Don't you dare move. Don't even blink.
When you mess up at the FBI, you
Get shot.
What's the nicest thing any of your superiors ever told you while you were working at the FBI?
You should be fired because you're incompetent.
Did he understand the question? A lot of people don't realize that when the Clintons were in the White House, you investigated the death of Vince Foster.
That's right.
Did Vince Foster kill himself?
No.
Really? Who killed him?
I think my wife and Bruce Willis.
Okay. What do you remember the most about your childhood home?
At the end of my driveway was a whore.
It's definitely memorable. As a teenager, you wrongly accused a man of breaking into your home and holding you and your brother at gunpoint.
Correct.
Do you feel bad about that?
Yeah, not at all.
Are you a serial killer?
Possibly.
What's your biggest weakness?
President Obama's eyebrow raises.
Don't do that. What's something that you've always wanted to do but have never been able to?
Knife somebody.
Maybe one day. What's your favorite hobby?
Tracking conversations.
Finish this sentence. James Comey.
Creeps in.
Where do you live?
A forest.
In the book, you write a lot about your wife. Where did you and your wife meet?
At a U.S. prison in Iraq called Abu Ghraib.
Wait, you met your wife at Abu Ghraib?
Yep.
Did you work there?
Yep.
What was her job?
Torture guy.
Finish this sentence. At the end of a long, hard day, you go home and you make your wife feel...
Beaten down.
After your book tour, what are you going to try next?
Marriage to a man.
Good luck. What do you never leave home without?
Shiv and tanning goggles.
Okay. What's your favorite food?
Paper.
You're making me hungry. You write in your book about that moment in the Oval Office when President Trump is about to shake your hand and you're trying to avoid getting hugged. What happened?
I get something worse than a hug.
What'd you get?
Sexual assault.
Was that your #MeToo moment?
Yep.
What's your nickname for Jeff Sessions?
Shrimp scampi.
Not bad. What question do you ask yourself at the start of every day?
Why am I alone?
If Hillary Clinton were here right now, what would you say to her?
Come out. It's so freeing.
What was your routine like when you were at the Bureau? What was the first thing you did every morning?
It sucked.
What's your favorite day of the year?
Valentine's Day, which is the FBI's primary responsibility.
You speak highly of President Obama in your book. What is his best quality?
President Obama has a great butt. It's true.
It's a little flat. Tell us about your last meeting with Obama in the Oval Office. What did President Obama say to you?
He said, I want to just tell you something. And then he looked me in the eye and he said, kiss me.
Wait, what?
Yeah. And then we totally screwed, right?
Huh?
We did it. Hard.
Oh. Oh my God.
The Russians taped it.
The Russians taped it. I'm done.
James Comey. James Comey.
Thanks for being here today, Mr. Comey.